Shalom, people. This is Brother Laz coming at you with another video. And it is a true statement that slavery wasn't that far ago for us as black people in this nation. I was at the barbershop a couple of days ago and conversating with, different people, as goes in a black barbershop, and the conversation came up about slavery, and one of the gentlemen in there, and I know he couldn't have been over 70 years old, he said that him and his family were sharecroppers in this area where I lived at. Now, growing up, it wasn't unusual to know about black people that had, at least what I thought they had owned the farms. But apparently, some of these farms were actually the land of the white people, and the black people worked the land for them. This was going on. This had to be within the last, because if he was 70, and not over 70, let's just say he was 70, and he was doing all this stuff up, and that just go with 20 years, right? Then that would have been in the last 50 years that this is going on, that this was going on, this sharecropping, because he said that he remembered the white man, when they would be working the land, he said the white man would come on a horse, and he said he remembered he said everybody in the family had to get out there, and he said they had to, pick whatever it was. I forgot what crop it was. Tobacco, that's what it was. It was tobacco. And he said he remember, and because we were just talking about how if we try to better ourselves, how you see how Caucasian people attitude would change toward us when we want to gain more knowledge or gain more independence. Everything is okay as long as you at a comfortable place for them where you ain't gaining an advantage. And he said he was talking about how when his family finally decided to get their own land, or I don't know if it was get their own land or just buy that land completely out from him, he said how the white guy, kind of put it down, like, how y'all gonna do that? Kind of like change his tone toward them. And I'm saying this is in my lifetime. And more than likely, if I continue to run into certain people and would ask them, I probably find out that more and more people was involved in, and sharecropping was just one step up from slavery, because the land that you farmed didn't belong to you, and if the owner wanted to tax in the seed and different things that you might have water, that you might have been getting to water the crops, he could kind of keep you in a kind of perpetual slavery where you was just making enough for your family to survive, but like I said, the land didn't belong to you, it belonged to them. And I was like, man, you hear it every day. But then this is nothing new, because you hear about the stories coming out of the 60s, where you had in some of these really rural places in excuse me again for the sunlight making that curve, turning around. Okay, here we go. You hear about these people in the 60s that they still was in the severe forms of this sharecropping, slavery kind of agreement, where the people were so far back in debt to the white landowners that they was almost like held in a kind of perpetual slavery. And you hear about these people that said sometime when they would try to leave the land to go places, the white sharecroppers sometimes would prevent them from leaving. Like, hey, you still owe me money. You can't leave. We can't just let you up and leave this land. And I'm like, what kind of madness was this? We are, well, I even think about my own self. When I grew up, my dad, you know, he, from the time that we were able to push a lawnmower, I had to pay for my own clothes and stuff like that. My dad gave me and my brother a lawnmower and a can of gas and said, from now on, anything that y'all want to buy as for clothes and stuff like that, you're gonna have to pay for it yourself. So we start cutting grass and, you know, throwing newspapers, different things like that. And I remember one summer, you know, we was in, you know, into our teens then. My dad said, hey, I got this a white guy that I work with, and he got a farm. He said, if y'all want to, you know, earn some money, y'all can come out there and clean out the barn. I remember me and my brother going out there cleaning out a horse barn, man. It was some back-breaking work, and I'm talking about we got pennies on the dollar for doing that. And I'm talking about we was shoveling up cow crap and horse crap in that barn, man. It was so old. I remember it took me and my brother that whole day. I remember us shoveling that stuff up, man. We ain't hardly getting out. I think we did it for a couple of, I think we just did that for a day, and then I was like, nah, I ain't coming back to do this. This is not worth it. Then I remember one year, it was another guy that my dad knew that had a tobacco farm, and me and my brother, we went out there and worked, and this is not unusual. I remember this. There was a lot of people, young people, black men, mostly, and I never remember no black woman doing it. But we used to go to these tobacco farms in the summer and work to tobacco farms. And I'm telling you, that was some back-breaking work. I can remember that. We used to have to hoe it, where you go around the tobacco plant with a hoe, and you had to kill the little plants that was trying to wrap themselves around the tobacco. Then I can remember us putting the tobacco on the little stick, where you go up into the tobacco tobacco barn to put it on these racks. I remember doing that to dry it. I'm talking about climbing. You know, you use your hands and your feet to climb all the way up to the top, and you had that little stick that had the tobacco on it to put it up there in the top inside and it was hot, because that's what the tobacco barn did. It was hot. It would dry the tobacco out. I can remember me and my brother doing that, taking turns climbing up there to the top with that little stick that had the tobacco on it and laying it on this. It was like from side to side, you had these two ledges, and the stick would go on the ledges and hang there, and you would just go all the way down until you got to the bottom. I can remember us doing that for a summer. And I can remember, man, when we would get home, my dad would come out there to the country and pick us up. Man, I'll be so tired. And man, we hardly got any money for doing that. You understand what I'm saying? This was in the 70s and 80s. You understand? It was like, okay, if you really want to get some work, there's some work out there for you, but it ain't gonna be a lot. And so this is one reason why you see that the push by Reagan and the Republicans in the 80s to loosen the immigration to allow Hispanic people, because then into the country. Because then I remember, and this was in the early 80s, late 70s. You start seeing these first it was Cubans. I think I've seen some Cubans. They were black Cubans, because I remember seeing them, and they were speaking Spanish. They said, "Oh, those Cubans." I guess that was from the Cuban boat lift, you know, with Castro or whatever it was, that you would see them working some of the farms. And then I guess later on in Reagan's second term, whatever, they just started opening up the floodgates, because I guess basically they knew that we as black people, especially since we didn't own the land, and we wasn't going to get the benefit of trying to get the land to better off ourselves, we just stopped doing that kind of work. And they said, okay, no problem. We'll get the Hispanics in, and we'll keep we'll keep the land, and we'll keep the wages, and the trade-off is that we'll let them replace y'all, and the government will allow them to get the social service benefits, because they were usually migrants. They would leave after the harvest, the tobacco harvest and stuff was over, and then over time you would start seeing that they children, some of them would end up staying in the area, and their kids would go to school or whatever, and they would just, and then eventually, like I said, you got this thing where they just say, okay, if they can do that, then maybe they can build houses, and it just went on and on and on. Because when I was growing up, again, you would see a lot of black, not gangs like street gangs, but gangs of workers, of black workers building houses and working on the highways. You would see a lot of that and when I was growing up in the 70s and the 80s, and then over time, because one reason they didn't want to increase the wages of us. They was letting us in, they wasn't increasing the wages. And farming is one of the most profitable things in the country, because you got to eat. But they was not about to try to let us get in on that. Even to the part where we see this thing with the black farmers that did stay and was trying to grow crops. How you find out they was selling them bad seed. They was extending out their loans, where it would take them longer for their loan applications to get processed, and some of them end up losing their farm. So they kind of pushed us out of that industry. They pushed us out of that industry by doing that kind of thing, still using sharecropper tactics, and still those that were coming out there to work as seasonal workers, like high schoolers like myself. They, it wasn't hardly giving you anything. But because his Hispanic people were, a lot of them was escaping oppression and everything, and they was coming in great numbers, they would combine into houses and multiple families to pool their income, right? And then that's how they was able to start building wealth, right? But see, that was not negotiable for us, because we had been in this land too long for us to have continued to get the kind of wages that we was getting for doing that back-breaking work. So then when they come in, they say, black people lazy. Why come we was able to take these jobs away from you? Because you had multiple families that was pooling your money. But if you had one individual that was in one house trying to live off of being a seasonal farmer, it would have never worked. It would have never worked. And so I just wanted to bring that thought to you, that slavery, the effects of it has not been that far back. So when they start, and I know some people say, well, we don't need to get no money or whatever from them. No, they owe that to us. If you go to the book of James, James clearly talks about the wages that are held back unfairly from the poor. And so now, like I said, with this CV-19, and because of a lot of businesses closed, right, and the skilled jobs are work from home a lot now. You got a lot of people that they're saying, you know what, these back-breaking jobs and stuff, because during the CV they gave people unemployment that way outmatched the amount of money they was getting for these low paid jobs. Now you have these kind of jobs where they need workers to go out there to the fields and pick stuff, and they're not getting people to come do those. So see, we see the same, we see now you seeing the same effect, that these people saying, if I'm getting paid more in unemployment wages for going out there to do this agricultural stuff, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna stay home. Or these other jobs, these seasonal jobs that the Hispanics came in, took over, like the Burger King and the service industries or whatever, and people not wanting to do it. Now you seeing all these for hiring signs, and nobody is, because now the tactics that they use against us are backfiring, because there's no way that they will be able to commensurate the wages up to what they need to be in order to attract anybody, because people would know, hey, you ain't getting no money for that back-breaking work. Just stay home, and that just draw unemployment. You understand? And so now what we're gonna have a food crisis, unless for some reason they can come up with more automated ways, which they are trying to do that. They are trying to come up with more automated ways to do some of this kind of work that, like I said, we grew up and just eliminate the human element for the most part that they can. But again, I just want us to continue to understand that we can't let them continue to pound in the head that it was a long time ago. It wasn't a long time ago, because just like with the cursory your understanding of the things that I have seen in my life, I can see where it was still there. It's still there. And so again, if you see this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up. I want you to leave a comment, and I want you to subscribe. Be blessed.